Ma'am, stop right there! The sharp command echoed through the aisles of the bustling department store. Captain Renee Miles turned, holding a shopping bag and receipt. "Is there a problem?" she asked, her tone even. The guard, a tall man with a stiff jaw and overconfident stance, marched up. His name tag read, Mark. "Yeah, there's a problem," he said. "We've been watching you on camera. You slipped something into your purse that you didn't pay for." Renee blinked. "Excuse me?" Mark pointed at her bag. "Don't play innocent. I saw you in the beauty section. You think we wouldn't notice?" She frowned slightly, confused but calm. "If you believe I took something, check your footage, or better yet, check my receipt." The second guard, Dylan, jogged over, breathing hard. "I checked the cameras, Mark. She looked suspicious. Put it in her bag quick near the shampoo." Mark smirked, stepping closer. "See? Told you. You're coming with us." Renee didn't move. "You're making a mistake," she said quietly. Mark scoffed. "That's what they all say." He reached for her arm. "We can do this easy or we can do it my way." Her eyes hardened, but her voice stayed calm. "I'm telling you to stop." He grabbed her wrist. Shoppers began whispering. Phones came out. A few people stepped back to record. "Wow, she's stealing?" someone muttered. "She looks so professional." "She probably hid it," another voice said. Renee took a deep breath, trying to stay composed. She could have stopped him right there. Could have ended it with a few words. But she didn't. She wanted to see how far they'd go. "Ma'am," Mark said louder, "you are being detained for shoplifting. You have the right to remain silent." Renee almost laughed. "You're quoting Miranda rights? You're a store guard, not an officer." "Then don't make me call one," he snapped. "Hands behind your back." "I'm not resisting," she said. "I'm explaining—" Click! The metal cuffs locked around her wrists. The sound was louder than the whispers that followed. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A child asked, "Mommy, what did she do?" Mark grinned, proud of himself. "Caught another one," he muttered. "You people think you can just walk out with whatever you want." Renee's eyes flickered upward. "You people?" He froze, realizing too late what he'd said. Dylan tried to cover for him. "He didn't mean that. Let's just get her to the office." They led her through the store, cameras filming, whispers swirling. Her heels clicked against the floor, steady and composed despite the humiliation burning her skin. In the small security room, Mark dumped her purse onto the desk. "Let's see what we've got here. Receipts, keys, phone, wallet, a pack of gum, and a single unopened bottle of perfume, with a receipt stapled to the bag." Dylan hesitated. It's right there," he said, pointing to the proof. Mark frowned. "That could be fake." Renee raised an eyebrow. "You think I forged a barcode?" "People do crazy things," he shot back. "We'll let the cops figure it out." She sighed, looking at the clock on the wall. "You're really calling them?" "Already did," he said. "You're gonna learn actions have consequences." Her lips curved slightly. "I couldn't agree more." 10 minutes later, 2 uniformed officers walked into the security office. One of them, Officer Ramirez, nodded toward Mark. "You the one who called?" "Yeah," Mark said proudly. "Caught her red-handed." Ramirez glanced at Renee, his brow furrowed. "Ma'am, can I see your ID?" "She doesn't have one," Mark interrupted. "We already checked." Renee looked him dead in the eye. "Actually, you didn't." Ramirez gave her a small nod. "Do you mind if I check your purse?" "Go ahead," she said. He reached in, finding her wallet, neat, organized, clipped ID badge inside. He flipped it open. His face changed instantly. He froze, staring at the photo and badge number. Mark," he said slowly. "You might want to sit down." "What?" Mark frowned. "Why?" Ramirez looked between them, then cleared his throat. "Because this woman is Captain Renee Miles. Metropolitan Police, Internal Affairs Division." The room went still. Even the hum of the fluorescent lights felt louder. Dylan's mouth fell open. "Wait, like an actual cop?" Mark turned red. "That's impossible." Renee finally spoke, her tone controlled and cold. "It's not impossible. It's also not surprising that you didn't bother to ask." She stood, straightening her blazer, the cuffs clinking softly. "Take these off." Ramirez moved quickly, unlocking her wrists. "Captain Miles, I am so sorry." She held up a hand. "Don't apologize for them. Not yet." Mark stammered. "We were just doing our job." "No," she interrupted sharply. "You were abusing it." The words cut like glass. Renee rubbed her wrists, staring at the cuffs lying on the desk. "I've put those on criminals, killers, and liars, but never on someone who paid for a bottle of perfume." Mark swallowed hard. We thought—" "You thought," she repeated, her voice steady, "that a black woman in a blazer didn't belong in your store. You saw what you wanted to see, not what was real." The silence was suffocating. Dylan looked down at his shoes. Ramirez shifted uncomfortably. Finally, Renee picked up her bag and turned to leave. "You'll be hearing from the department soon." Mark took a step forward. "Please, Captain, we didn't know—" She paused at the door, looking over her shoulder. "That's the problem. You never care to know." Then she walked out, straight through the crowd now gathered outside the security office. Phones rose again, filming her as she left. Whispers followed. "That's the lady from the news," someone murmured. "She's a cop?" "She's a captain." Mark and Dylan stood frozen, watching the reality sink in. Ramirez turned to them, his voice low. "You two just cuffed a ranking officer on false suspicion." Dylan paled. Are we in trouble?" Ramirez sighed, pocketing his notebook. "Let's just say this won't stay inside this store." Outside, Renee walked calmly into the sunlight, her reflection flashing in the glass doors. She exhaled slowly, pulling her phone from her bag. A message notification glowed on her screen. "Call from Chief. Urgent. Saw the video." Her fingers hovered over the reply button. She knew what this meant. This wasn't just about her anymore. The entire department, the city, maybe even the country, would see what had just happened. She stopped beside her car, looking back at the store sign. Her expression was unreadable, a mix of fatigue, dignity, and a spark of resolve. Under her breath, she murmured, "Time to teach them what real justice looks like." She got into her car, started the engine, and drove off, just as the first reporter vans began pulling into the parking lot. But when the full security footage was released the next day, what it revealed shocked everyone, even Captain Miles herself. So tell me, what do you think she discovered in that footage? Comment your thoughts below. "Are you seeing this, Chief?" Renee asked, eyes fixed on the monitor. The footage paused, a still frame showing her being handcuffed, surrounded by gawking shoppers. It wasn't grainy or distant. It was clear, crystal clear. Chief Daniels leaned forward, his expression dark. "I'm seeing it," he said quietly, "and I'm not liking it." They were in the Internal Affairs office, the same place where Renee had spent years investigating misconduct. But today, she wasn't the investigator. She was the victim. "Play it from the top," she said. The technician rewound the footage. The store's security system had multiple angles, and for the first time, Renee saw it all unfold. The whispers, the pointed fingers, and something even worse. Mark and Dylan weren't the only ones targeting her. The footage showed a third person, a woman behind the security counter who had whispered something into Mark's earpiece just before he approached Renee. "Pause," Renee said sharply. "Zoom in." The technician zoomed. The woman's name tag came into view. Supervisor, Linda Evans. Chief Daniels frowned. "You know her?" Renee nodded slowly. "She's the one who approved the store's profiling initiative last year. They claimed it was about loss prevention, but multiple customers had complained it only targeted minorities." The chief exhaled. "Well, looks like she just made your case airtight." Renee sat back, her jaw tightening. "Not just mine, Chief. Every person they ever humiliated for looking like they didn't belong." He looked at her for a long moment. "You want to press it?" Her answer was immediate. "No, I want to expose it." The next morning, Renee walked back into the same department store. This time, not as a shopper, but as a representative of the law. Cameras followed her. Reporters lined the sidewalk. The story had already gone viral overnight. As she stepped through the sliding glass doors, Mark froze behind the counter. His uniform looked less confident today. His badge, once shining proudly on his chest, seemed to weigh him down. "Captain Miles," he stammered. "Look, Don't!" Renee cut him off. "Not here, not now." Linda Evans appeared from the back office, her expression a mix of defiance and panic. "Captain Miles," she said tightly, "we've already issued a statement. It was a misunderstanding." Renee raised an eyebrow. "A misunderstanding? You handcuffed a woman in public without probable cause. You broadcasted a lie that could have ruined my reputation, or worse, my life." Linda crossed her arms. "Our guards acted on training protocols." "Then your protocols are the problem," Renee replied, "because they're built on prejudice." The store manager, clearly nervous, stepped forward. "Captain, please, this isn't necessary." "Oh, it's very necessary," Renee said. "You'll have your chance to explain yourself to the press and the Board of Civil Rights. They'll be here in an hour." Linda's eyes widened. "You can't do that." Renee smiled faintly. "I already did." Outside, the press swarmed. Microphones were thrust toward her as she stepped into the sunlight. "Captain Miles, are you pursuing legal action?" one reporter shouted. Renee paused, her gaze steady. "What I'm pursuing is accountability," she said. "This isn't about revenge. It's about respect, the kind that shouldn't depend on your color, your uniform, or your bank account." The crowd murmured, nodding. Cameras clicked. The moment was powerful, not because she was angry, but because she was calm. Inside the store, Linda's phone buzzed nonstop. The corporate office wanted answers. The local board had launched an internal investigation, and for once, everyone who had ever ignored the complaints had to face them. 3 days later, Renee sat in a courtroom. The same kind of place she'd once testified as an officer, but this time as a witness. Linda Evans sat at the defense table, her face pale. Mark and Dylan were behind her, quiet, remorseful. The judge glanced over the documents. "Captain Miles, your report includes numerous instances of racial profiling, documented through both employee statements and security footage. Do you stand by this?" "I do, Your Honor," Renee said firmly. "Because this isn't just about me. It's about every customer who was stopped for existing while black. It's about every person who was told, 'You don't belong here.'" The judge nodded slowly. "And what outcome are you seeking?" Renee didn't hesitate. "I don't want their jobs taken. I want their system changed." Linda looked up, surprised. "I want that company," Renee continued, "to train its employees, to understand that suspicion shouldn't start with skin color, that respect shouldn't depend on a receipt, and that justice starts with awareness." The courtroom was silent. Even the judge seemed moved. "That's commendable," he said softly. Renee nodded once. "It's necessary." 2 weeks later, headlines filled the city. Store implements new anti-bias training after police captain's ordeal. From humiliation to reform, one woman's calm changed corporate policy. The company issued a public apology, broadcast across major networks. Linda Evans resigned quietly. Mark and Dylan underwent retraining under Renee's supervision. It wasn't revenge, it was redemption. One afternoon, Renee returned to the same store for the first time since that day. The cashier smiled warmly. "Good afternoon, Captain Miles. Welcome back." She smiled faintly. "Thank you." The guard at the door, a young man, greeted her respectfully. "Ma'am, I watched your interview. What you did, it made me think differently about my job." "That's all I wanted," she said. "For people to think before they judge." As she picked up a new bottle of perfume, the same brand that had started it all, she felt something different. The air was lighter. The stares were gone. Progress didn't erase the past, but it reshaped the future. When she reached the counter to pay, the cashier hesitated. "You know," she said, smiling shyly, "because of you, the company changed our training manual. We call it the Miles Policy." Renee blinked, caught off guard. "You're serious?" "Yes, ma'am," the cashier said proudly. "It teaches us how to see people, not assumptions." Renee chuckled softly. "That's the best receipt I've ever gotten." Later that evening, she sat on her porch, the sunset painting the sky in amber streaks. Her phone buzzed, a message from her chief. "Saw the updates. You didn't just fix a problem, Renee. You started a movement." She smiled, setting the phone down. The quiet hum of the city around her felt different, more hopeful somehow. She took a deep breath, remembering the sound of those handcuffs, the humiliation of that day. And then she whispered to herself, "Sometimes the best way to fight injustice is to stay calm enough to expose it." Moral of the story: never let someone else's prejudice dictate your peace. When you know your worth, you don't have to shout it, you just have to prove it. Respect isn't given by power, it's earned by character. Quick question for you. If you were in Captain Renee's position, would you have stayed calm or fought back in that moment? Comment your answer below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true stories that remind us what dignity, courage, and grace really look like.